What's up guys, Knife Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we are talking about Palossand, however you want to say it. This Pokemon has been getting a lot of buzz recently because it is a very strong synergy with Excelgor. Essentially what you do is attack it with Excelgor, Water Shuriken, it gets +1 speed priority. You attack this guy, it activates its weakness policy, it activates its ability to gain +2 of defense every time it's hit. So if you hit 3 times, then you go to +6 defense, which is pretty absurd. And then if you hit 2 times, which is the minimal amount of times, then you go to +4, which is still absolutely insane. So essentially, at worst, you'll get +4 defense boost as well as a +2 attack or a special attack. So it becomes a monstrous Pokemon that your opponent has to deal with before it gets out of control, or else it's probably gonna sweep you. Palossand is pretty crazy, but of course you have redirection. So redirection is something, and it's pretty prevalent in this format currently with Amoonguss and Indeedee and Togekiss, all 3 being top 10 mons. So yeah, you have some hurdles to jump through, but when you activate it, it's looking pretty good. Anyway, today we are going to be covering a VGC set as well as a single set for Palossand, as well as speed tiers and damage calcs. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned and like, comment, subscribe. Everything makes a big difference. Anyway, so let's talk about it. So Palossand, this Sandcastle boy, he's a Ghost Ground type Pokemon, which is pretty weird. Pretty cool typing if you would like to think so. So it has 3 immunities, which is really good. Immunities is too long for that small space, so I put in 0x, 0 times damage for normal, electric, and fighting, which is pretty good. Having 3 immunities, all 3 are pretty, relevant in the game, so that's pretty solid. We also have 3 resistances, poison, bug, and rock, which are also pretty cool. But then we, have 5 weaknesses, which is good for activating our weakness policy, but like we said, we want to do it, on our own terms with Water Shuriken, so that we don't have to worry about other stuff. Water, grass, ice, ghost, and dark are all pretty scary, but after Water Shuriken, physical attackers like Tyranitar and Rillaboom and stuff like that, they're just not that scary, so it's pretty good. Anyway, this Pokemon is pretty sweet with that. Let's talk about some some stats real quick. So HP at 85, defense at 110, and then special defense at 75. As you can see, its defense is already amazing, but then +6, how are you going to hurt this Pokemon with physical attackers unless you hit a crit, of course. And then we also have special defense and HP at around average, pretty solid. After a couple of max quakes, your special defense and just general bulk will be really good. We also Dynamax this Pokemon typically, so its 85 HP is, accentuated. I think that's a word. I'm not sure if it is though. Attack at 75, we don't care about. A special attack at 100, which isn't insane, but +2 from weakness policy makes it pretty good. And then we also have speed at 35, which allows it to have a solid Trick Room engine, as well as a pretty good part 2 to this team. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's going to be it for our overview. Let's move on to the VGC set itself. So as far as the VGC build goes, we are playing Shadow Ball, Earth Power, Shore Up, Protect, Water Compaction, Weakness Policy. Pretty solid set in general. So essentially you want to just use the ability Water Compaction with Water Shuriken from Excelgor. There is a case to be made with Palossand at Sandvale, but not a very good one in my opinion. I think the coolest thing about this Pokemon is its Water Compaction strat, so I think that's definitely the way you want to go about it with Palossand. The item we have is Weakness Policy. I don't think you should really change this if you go with a Water Compaction. If you go with Sandvale, maybe, something like Leftovers, maybe a Bulky Berry, something like Rindo, or maybe even Colbur Berry, or even Cassie Berry, something like that could be good of an option. Just make him a little bit more defensive. I think that's the way you want to go with Sandvale. But for Water Compaction, Weakness Policy is mighty. Going +4 defense, +2 attack, or +2 special attack at the worst case scenario is insane. Anyway, as far as our moves go, like I said, we went Shadow Ball, Earth Power, Shore Up, Protect. I think this is a pretty solid set, although there can be a case to be made for 3 attacks and Shore Up, or 3 attacks and Protect. I like Shore Up, and I also like Protect, but like I said, you're going to be Dynamaxing this Pokemon most of the time. Just turn 1, you're just going to Dynamax it, so you don't really need Protect for those couple of turns, but this Pokemon does want to last for a while. Since you get your +4, +6, or max quakes as well, so you can potentially make this Pokemon like +6 defense as well as +2 or 3 special defense, making it just an absolute tank with max quakes. So I like Protect to be on there because we're most likely going to outlive our Dynamax as Dynamax Pokemon, which is good. So dual stab, we have Protect and then Shore Up as our move of choice just to heal up. I believe it does 50% of damage. Yeah, heals 50% and even 2/3 in Sandstorm. So if you're up against a rival Tyranitar, or you even have it on your own just to erase weathers, it could be really good, really nice. So yeah, I like Palossand. I think this set's pretty good. There can be a case to be made though for multiple attacks, like 3 attacks and Protect or 3 attacks and Shore Up. So we do have some coverage moves as well available. First off, we have Energy Ball, Sludge Bomb, Psychic, and Terrain Pulse as coverage moves. Terrain Pulse is cool. It also gives us a form of speed control with Max Strike. But like I said, a lot of the time, part 2 of this team is going to be P2 or something of this sort, allowing us to set up Trick Room after Excelgor or our other fast Pokemon are gone. We have Palossand just to clean up at the end with Trick Room, so that can be a really good option as well. But Energy Ball, Sludge Bomb, Psychic, Terrain Pulse, all pretty solid coverage moves, especially Energy Ball. We have a lot of things that Grass just dies to this format, which is really good. Things like Rhyperior, Milotic, Inteleon. Inteleon we don't see a lot. Primarina, a lot of bulky water type Pokemon that after +2 Palossand, Energy Ball, or Max Max Grass can just take it out. Overgrowth, that's what it's called. So yeah, it is pretty good. And then we also have Scorching Sands as another option for Earth Power. I don't think we should switch that up because the Earth Power gives us the most Dynamax damage, as well as just giving us a very solid damage attack once we're little, not Dynamax anymore. So I like this set. I think it's really good. Maybe 3 attacks and Shore Up, but then you lose Protect as a baby, so maybe it's not that great. Anyway, next we have our EVs. For this Pokemon, it's pretty basic. We just went 252 into HP and special attack, and then our leftover 4 into special defense, since our defense is already a monster, and the whole play is go +6 or +4 at worst case. So we just went 252 and 252, be as physically bulky or just bulky in general as we can with HP, and then we Dynamax this Pokemon as well, like I was saying. So 252 at HP is makes a lot of sense for this Pokemon. And then special attack at max, and then as well as modest nature, just making it do as much damage as possible. Since it's like base special attack is not insane, it's good, but it's not insane. Anyway, that is going to be it for the set. Let's talk about 2 synergetic Pokemon real quick. So first one, no brainer, is Excelgor. I think Excelgor is just amazing for it. It's probably staple for Palossand. Being able to Water Shuriken, I believe it's the only Water Shuriken user we have this gen, being able to hit multiple times and also hits priority. So you just get it very, very, very defensive before anything can really hit you, which is really good. Obviously you have things like Fake Out and stuff that'll hit it, and Redirection. But, if your opponent their team's not flooded with Redirection or Fake Out, or, you just don't lead it and bring it in the back potentially as well, or just allow Palossand to take something out first, then you have a chance at being able to pop off the combo, the Water Compaction, Water Shuriken combo. So I think Excelgor is definitely a staple for this team, definitely the staple partner for Palossand. Speaking of other staple partners, like I was saying, a Trick Room option would be very good, and P2 is one of our best, if not the best, Trick Room Pokemon this format. We have that, maybe Dusclops, that would land on this team with Palossand. I mean, obviously there are other Trick Room setters as well, and other Pokemon that are fast that have it as an option within prison. Things like Jellicent can even have that, but it's not super fast. But Indeedee Male, as well as Alakazam, definitely some other options. So you can definitely mess around with Palossand teams, putting on different kinds of Trick Room engines, and you don't even need Trick Room, but I think it's good because of our very low speed. And that's another thing that I'd like to mention. There is definitely a case to be said about putting this guy at 0 speed, making it 35 base speed as well, outspeeding a lot of other good Pokemon. But most of the good Pokemon, we outspeed Rhyperior then under Trick Room, which is good. But if we can deny Trick Room, then Palossand can also just be unbelievably monstrous to those kind of Pokemon as well, being able to outspeed them. So definitely you can mess around with making it min speed, but for now we're keeping it at neutral speed. Anyway, that is going to be it for this slide. Let's move on to some speed tiers here real quick. So speed tiers, Speaking of real quick, we are not real quick. We are hitting the speed tier of 55, which is not amazing, but not terrible. We're on the same speed tier as Clefairy and Mudsdale if they are not invested, or, uninvested at 55. A couple of Pokemon will be outspeeding us initially, things like Conkeldurr, most likely. We do have Conkeldurr under us as well, but usually it'll be uninvested. So we have Conkeldurr there. We have some other Pokemon above us as well, things like Gothitelle, Jellicent, Sylveon Lapras, all those min speed to low speed Pokemon are going to be outspeeding us initially, but we can't, like I said, we can't put ourselves at 35, being right closer to the bottom of this list. But at 55 we are outspeeding a lot of Pokemon initially, things like Snorlax, Conkeldurr, common Snorlaxes, Conkeldurr, hindering Conkeldurr, 0 speed, Rhyperior, min speed, which is the common, Gastron at min speed, which is also pretty common, and then Hatterene is always gonna be down there. Same with Dusclops, same with Torkoal and Ferrothorn. Dusclops might have a little speed sometimes. I've seen a couple of a little bit faster Dusclops. It's same with Torkoal, but usually we'll still be outspeeding them, which is pretty good. So yeah, an interesting speed tier to be at as Palossand. And like I said, you can be down here at 35 if you really want to, but I've been liking at 55. I played this team a little bit on Showdown, so I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, that is going to be it for speed tiers. Let's move on to some damage calcs. Now, this is really where this Pokemon shines, is taking no damage and dealing a lot of damage. However, it is with supplements. So, of course, if we have our weakness policy activated, we're going to be doing good damage. And, a water compaction activated, we're going to be taking little damage, which is what we want to do. Anyway, to kick them off, we have our Water Shuriken 3 hits from Excelgor into our Dynamaxed boy of Palossand. We are hitting 12 to 15%, which is, a little bit of damage. Possible 7-hit KO instead of possible worst hit that you can do. It's still, not much damage, 12 to 15, in a very, very little trade-off to get +4, +6 defense, and then also activate our weakness policy. But it's still notable damage, especially since it's special attacking, and even if we don't invest into Excelgor, it's still 12 to 15, which is not a lot, but is notable. Next, we have Palossand Max Phantasm into a pretty defensive Togekiss, just having max HP almost, and then 12 special defense. We don't offer any kind of special attack, super effective stab into Togekiss, so, even at neutral with Max Phantasm at +2 from weakness policy, we are still hitting 93 to 110%, which is a 62.5% chance to OHKO, which is still really solid against something like that. And that's the biggest, follow me type Pokemon. So if we're not weakness policy, we're only hitting half of that, but that still gives us a really high chance to hit a 2-hit KO, especially with Excelgor. You can also hit like Final Gambits into it or something to, but then you won't have Water Shuriken for the next turn. So there's a case to be made with a couple of different ways, but taking out those follow me Pokemon turn 1 so that you can optimally use Max Phantasm and optimally use, Palossand in future turns is a good way of doing it. And wow, I'm very far into this video, so I'm going to speed it up a little. Next, we have Max Quake into a pretty defensive Incineroar, 244 HP, as well as 236 plus special defense. Even at +2, we are hitting 159 to 188, which provides us a guaranteed OHKO against Incineroar, which is very, very good after weakness policy, of course. Next, we have Max Quake into a Dynamax Cinderace after activating our weakness policy as well, hitting 165 to 194, which is amazing into a Dynamax Cinderace, taking that boy out. Next, we have Dynamax Max Overgrowth, which could be the drum beating, whatever that one's called, rigorous drum attack, whatever it is, from Max Invested Rillaboom in grassy terrain into our +6 from Water Compaction Dynamaxed boy, hitting only 20 to 23%. As you can see, that is no damage. That's only half of our Shore Up heal. So if we do that, live a couple of turns, and then boom, we're Shore Up, healing right off the bat once again, and Rillaboom does no damage to it after, Water Compaction is activated. Next, we have Dynamaxed with Weakness Policy proc Tyranitar Max Darkness into our +6 defense. Hitting 27 to 32, which is a little bit more than the Rillaboom, but still, not that much. Even the Max Overgrowth plus Max Darkness is about a Shore Up heal, so it's really not that bad. So our damage calcs are pretty solid once everything happens, but you have the problem of having to activate everything with Water Shuriken through redirection being one of the most prevalent things in this in our format currently. So there are things that make it a little difficult, but still it's very good. Anyway, that is going to be it for damage calcs. Let's move on to single spotlight real quick. So single spotlight, there's not much to be said about single spotlight. You know, water compaction is cool. You can switch this Pokemon into a water type attack, which is good. We also have the item Rindo Berry. You could use Kasib, you could use Colbur, anything like that. Like I was mentioning in the VGC portion, if we went for a more defensive Palossand, then we would probably be going for one of those berries, Rindo Berry, Colbur Berry, Kasib Berry, something like that. So that's why we have that listed here. As far as our moves, we are a defensive Stealth Rock user with Shore Up, Shadow Ball, and Earth Power. Dual Stab, Shore Up, as well as Stealth Rock, which makes this Pokemon pretty solid in general. You know, and then our investment into HP and defense, and then Bold Nature, giving us the most defense we can. This Pokemon is a very, very physical wall, as well as, you know, having Rindo, Water Compaction. It can be a very, very good threat and a great switch into a water type Pokemon. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You know, in sum up, I think Palossand is really cool. It has a really, really solid setup. Turn 1 that makes it amazing with Excelgor, but you know, there's a lot of redirection in this format. We have a lot of fake out the Excelgor, double in, it's dead. Palossand is now not that big of a problem. So, you know, if it's set up, it's a monster. If it's not set up, you know, it's not too big of a worry. It's not doing insane damage. You just don't proc its weakness policy, and it's, you know, not too big of a worry. But with that being said, it's still a pretty big threat when it gets set up. Anyway, that is going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, go down to the comment section right now, say, hey, nice vid, or anything else, you know, whatever you want to comment. Just do something, just comment something, you know. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, do all of those things. Have a great next 2 months. Goodbye.